So today's lesson, we're going to go over another set of special right triangles. Our objective is that we're going to understand that by similarity, side ratios and right triangles are properties of the angles in the triangle, leading to the definitions of trigonometric ratios for acute angles and special right triangles. So we're covering the special right triangle of a 30, 60, 90 today. So this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to label our angles. This is our 30-degree angle, so this would be our short side. This is our 60-degree angle, so this would be our long side. And then this obviously would be our hypotenuse. We have two formulas that we're going to use for a 30, 60, 90 triangle, but the very first thing that you guys have to be very careful about is being able to figure out where the long side, the short side, and the hypotenuse are. So we have in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the length of the hypotenuse is 2 times the length of the shorter leg. So what I want to do first is say H is the hypotenuse. L is the longer leg, or side, and then S is the shorter leg or side. Then we've got two formulas. Our first one is our hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg. Our other formula is for the long leg. The long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. Now what I like to tell my students is the square root of 3 is attached to the 30, 60, 90 triangle because it's got 3 different angle measures, whereas the square root of 2 is attached to the 45, 45, 90 triangle because it's got 2 different angle measures, the 45 and the 90. So now we're going to go ahead and work a couple of these problems. First thing we're going to do is label our sides. And we're going to do this every time before we start the problem. So we've got our hypotenuse here. Again, we've got our short leg here across from the 30-degree angle. And then we've got our long one down here because that's across from the 60-degree angle. So our first formula we have that we're going to use is the H formula because we are given H. So H is equal to 2 times the short leg. Hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg. So notice that our H is 22 and that we got 2 times our short leg, and our short leg is X. So what we do next here, after we've put these numbers in our formula, is we divide both sides by 2. So our X is equal to 11. Now recall that this is also our S. So I'm going to put S over here as well because it's going to help me then as I work through the other formula for the long leg. So our formula for the long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. And you guys need to write these over and over and over again so that you get these down by the time you're done with the lesson. So again, our L here is Y. And our S, notice down here, was 11. So we've got 11 times the square root of 3. Can't simplify either one of these anymore, so our X was 11 and our Y was 11 square root of 3. Example 1b, again, we're going to solve for X and Y, so we're going to go ahead and label our sides again, H, L, and K, H, L, and S. So we've got our hypotenuse here, we've got our long leg here, we've got our short leg here. This needs to be your first step every time. Then our formula, this time we have the long leg, so we're going to use the L formula. So the L formula is L is equal to S radical 3, and we have 15 here. And our S over there is X. Now this is the one where we have to divide both sides by radical 3, so we're going to do that next. And now it's gone from here. Recall that we cannot have a radical in the denominator, so we have to get rid of that radical. So we're going to multiply both the top and the bottom by square root of 3. This is what we call rationalizing the denominator. So on the top, we're going to get, when we multiply this, we're going to get 15 square root of 3. And when we multiply these, we're going to get square root of 3 times square root of 3 is the square root of 9. So now this is going to be, we can simplify the square root of 9, so this is going to be 15 over the square root of 3 over 3. Now hopefully all of you guys can notice right now that this can be simplified. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. So this is going to be 5 square root of 3. And again, we were solving for x, but this is also our short side. So I'm going to say it's s as well. Now we're going to solve for our hypotenuse. That formula is h is equal to 2 times the short leg. So again, our hypotenuse over there is y, so y is equal to, and we're going to do 2 times our s down here. So we're going to do 2 times 5 square root of 3. Recall that we're going to multiply just the 2 times the 5. We're going to treat that 5 like it's a coefficient of the radical, because it is. So our answer is going to be y is equal to 10 square root of 3. So I'd like you guys to go ahead and do these one at a time, these check it outs, and come back to me after each one and check your answers. So here again, we're going to go ahead and label our side. So we've got our hypotenuse here, opposite the right angle. This would have been a 30-degree angle, so we could say this is our short side. This one is opposite the 60-degree angle, so it's our long side. Here again, we have our hypotenuse, so we're going to use our h formula. H is equal to 2 times s. So we're going to do 18 square root of 3 equals 2 times x. Going to divide both sides by 2. Remember, we're only dealing with our coefficients here, so this is going to be 9, because half of 18 is 9. That's going to be our x. So now, and that's also going to be our s. Then we're going to do our long leg. So our long leg is equal to our short leg times the square root of 3. Y is equal to our long leg. Our short leg is 9 times the square root of 3, and then we're going to multiply that again by another square root of 3. Hopefully by now you can see that when we have the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, that's the square root of 9. So y is equal to 9 times the square root of 9, which is 9 times 3. So when we're talking about our y is equal to 27, because 9 times 3 is 27. Next problem, we have our 30-degree angle, which means this is our 60-degree angle. Once again, we have our h, hypotenuse across from the right angle. We have our short side, and we have our long side. It doesn't matter which formula we use first here, so I'm just going to go ahead and start with h equals 2s. So that's y is equal to 2 times our 5, which is 10. And then we've got our L, which is equal to s square root of 3. Our L is x, and we're doing 5 times the square root of 3. That's our x and our y. Once again, we're going to label our sides. We know that this is our hypotenuse. This up here would be our 60-degree angle, so this would be L. Across from our 30 is our s. So once again, we have h, so we're going to use our h formula first. So that would be 24 is equal to 2 times our x. Divide both sides by 2. X is equal to 12, which is also equal to our s. Then we're going to do our L. S square root of 3. This is y. Our s down here was 12, so this is going to be 12 square root of 3. Once again, I know this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle because we have our 60-degree and it's a right angle, so this is our 30-degree. The side opposite the 30 is going to be our short side. The side opposite the hypotenuse is going to be, the right angle is going to be our hypotenuse. And the side opposite the 60 is going to be our long side. So this time we have L, so we're going to start with our L equation. So we have 9 is equal to, this time we have y square root of 3. Again, hopefully you recall that we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 3 here. Can't have a radical in the denominator, so we're going to multiply both the top and the bottom by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. That gives us 9 square root of 3 over the square root of 9, which is equal to 9 square root of 3 over 3. Hopefully all of y'all can see that this part right here again can simplify. So our answer for y is equal to 3 square root of 3. And this is also, again, our short leg, so we're going to say it's also s. Then we're going to look for our hypotenuse. That's 2 times the short leg. Our hypotenuse in this problem is x. And we're going to do 2 times 3 square root of 3. Once again, we're just going to multiply that times that coefficient, so that's going to be x is equal to 6 square root of 3. Going to continue our process with labeling. So we've got, again, this would be our 60-degree angle. So here again, we've got this one is opposite the 30, so it's our short leg. This is opposite the hypotenuse, so it's going to be h. This is opposite the 60, so it's going to be our long leg. I notice again we have h, so h is equal to 2 times the short leg. So we've got 8 is equal to 2 times x. So divide both sides by 2. So x is equal to 4, which is also equal to s. Here again we have our L is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. L is y. And our short leg down here was 4. So we're going to do 4 square root of 3. This one will be 30 because the angle down here is 60. We know that across from the 60 is our long leg. This would be our short leg. This would be equal to our hypotenuse. Have the long leg this time. That's s square root of 3. Going to put 7 square root of 3 is equal to x square root of 3. Some of y'all can already see that x is equal to 7. But if we were going to go ahead and do it mathematically, we would divide both sides by the square root of 3. Gone from there, gone from there. So x equals 7. And that's also our s, right? So now our h is equal to 2 times s. Down here, h was y. We're going to multiply that 2 times 7. So that's 14. Going to label what we have again. We have our short side. We have our long side. And we have our hypotenuse. So, doesn't matter which one we solve for this time. So I'm going to go ahead and solve for x first. So that would be my L formula is equal to s square root of 3. So I've got x equals 10 square root of 3. Then I'm going to solve for h. h is equal to 2 times s. So our h in this problem is y. So we're going to do 2 times our 10, which is 20. So this is our final problem. It says Andre tries to leaning cards against each other so the angle at the top is 60 degrees. Find the height x of the tops of the cards. So if all of this had been 60 degrees, then obviously when we cut it in half, which is what this is, it's a perpendicular bisector, it would have made it 30 and 30. So hopefully you guys noticed that this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And if this over here was 3.15, and this is 6.3 right here, this is our hypotenuse, right? This is going to be our short leg. So this should be our long leg. So we're going to solve for the long leg. So long leg is equal to, I'm going to do this up here on the right so y'all can see it better. Long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3, right? So we're going to do x is equal to 3.15 times the square root of 3. Then we're just going to multiply that. When we multiply that, we get 5.5. I think it's 5.45 or something like that, so we're going to round it up. So it's going to be 5.5 centimeters. So I want to show you guys this video that basically goes over these concepts. It is kind of corny song, but it is catchy and it might help y'all. So I realized after the fact that on that video you guys can't hear the music, but you can go and listen to it. I would love to issue a challenge to you guys and see if somebody can come up with a rap that communicates the same thing, because it is a kind of corny song. But finally, I want to go over, these are the things you guys need to know for the quiz when you come back, along with some other things that we're going to teach when we do get back. But we're going to determine if you can make a triangle with 3 sides by adding together 2 of them and seeing if they're larger than the third. Then we're going to determine if triangles are acute, right, or obtuse by comparing c squared to a squared plus b squared. And then we're going to solve for missing parts in a 45-45-90 triangle, and we're going to solve for missing parts in a 30-60-90 triangle. So those are the things you guys need to know in very well before you guys come back from Thanksgiving break.